ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Pace Athletics Alumni Spotlight, presented by New York-Presbyterian, the official healthcare provider of Pace Athletics. Today, I'm joined by Pace Athletics Hall of Famer and 1983 Pace graduate of the women's basketball team, Liz Hernandez. Liz, great to see you.
Great to see you. Thank you.
Yeah, I mentioned you're a Hall of Famer. You're one of the best women's basketball players, in program history. You're the first 1,000-point scorer. You're all over our record books. You're our all-time leader in steals, by a wide margin. My obvious first question is, what do you remember most about your playing days? What comes off to mind when I mention all those accolades?
I remember loving every minute of stealing the ball, and I took a lot of pride in my defensive game and just the energy that we had for trying to build a program back then. So just fabulous experience, and just every year bringing us to another level.
You mentioned taking away the ball. I was going to mention, was defense always something you pride yourself on, or did you always just kind of did the knack for, steals kind of just happen over time?
Well, at 5'2", you have to claim your game. And for me, it was stealing the ball. I could read the pass where it was going, and it was an easy 2 points for me. It was a layup. So I had to get my points, and that's how I could get my points. It wasn't like they were all going to come from the outside. Even driving in, as much as I love driving in, you got to look for the quick wins, and that's how I did it. And I loved it. There's an energy in stealing the ball that you can't touch.
Yeah, that's awesome. I
Yeah.
mentioned about, I think you have almost 150 more steals than anyone that's ever played Pace, which is just incredible. I mentioned you're the first 1,000-point scorer as well for Pace women's basketball, which is is a great program. It's a very illustrious program. It's had many years of success. How much pride do you take in kind of being one of the first big time players?
Oh, that's what I love. We're interviewing up here, but if we were downstairs in my home, I have the ball that the girls signed. And it's funny because some people might get bored with it, but it is, for me, a claim to fame. I never even imagined that was in reach. Again, being, 5'2", not having that scoring, those scoring accolades in high school. And I had a worker here the other day, I think it was a Terminex guy, and he started talking about basketball, and I said, yeah, I was the first woman to score 1,000 points at Pace University. So, as other people may not be interested, but it's still so near and dear to my heart that it's another great bright light for me. Yeah.
I love that. That's awesome. That's very funny. Okay, switch gears a little bit here.
Yeah.
Mentioned 1983 graduate, one of the first teams at Pace. I kind of want to talk a little bit about, obviously, the landscape of, women's athletics, collegiately, even professionally, has changed so much over time. And, while you were playing, I assume it wasn't as much a part of the American landscape. What have you kind of seen over the years in the change of kind of women's athletics, the way when you were there and maybe even now?
Well, I still watch, and I give the girls a lot of love in watching the games. Back then, as I was kind of referencing earlier, a lot of women weren't as serious, I think, because the opportunities weren't there, the funding wasn't there. Again, we only had 7 girls on the team the first year. We didn't even have a lot of tall girls on the team. We had 2 walk-ons, so they didn't really have the fundamentals that are necessary. But nonetheless, there's the commitment and the desire back then. But now you see girls that they have the fundamentals. They're strong. They work on their game mentally, physically, and there's money. And with money comes opportunity for training and really providing the resources that the girls need to build themselves to be able to play their best game. And I think it's amazing when I watch these women. There's pro out there, there's the college games that I watch. I think it's amazing to see the skill level that's went up, and that's all due to the attention and the opportunity and the money that has went into the programs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That makes a ton of sense. Since you've graduated over the years, you've stayed connected with Pace Women's Basketball. You've stayed supportive of Pace Women's Basketball, even as a part of our Setters Club as well, which is obviously very much appreciated and great to see. Why do you kind of feel like it's important to stay connected with Pace and stay supportive over the years, and what's kind of your reasoning?
Well, I think that I've been blessed because of my PACE education and my experiences, and I want to see the girls continue. And I know PACE is a great school with a lot of resources, but even beyond PACE, what basketball gave me in my life with the discipline is something I want to give back to. And there's no better way than to give it back to PACE because they gave me that scholarship and I'll never forget it.
That's really cool. Cool to hear. My next question would be, how often have you gotten back to campus? Have you gotten back anytime recently?
I always go for um, the dinner, the Hall of Fame thing. I went to another event that was probably maybe 2 years ago now, but I want to go to the games. I've been there, I would say not as much as I would like to. I'm not as close. I grew up in well, I didn't grow up. I went to high school in Rockland County, so that was closer. Coming from Jersey, a little further, but that's also on my list to catch more games of the girls and to go. I want to go see the announcer who does the football games because I always meet him at the Hall of Fame. He has a great voice. So I do plan on visiting more. I think it's a great campus. I hardly recognized it when I went a couple of years ago because of the expansion. So yeah, I want to stay connected. It's a special place. I remember visiting schools when I was going to go. I didn't go to too many, but out of my choices, when I went onto the PACE campus, I could feel that it was just a really nice, supportive campus, and it's a beautiful area. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned the great Mike McGinnis is the
Yeah.
announcer you mentioned.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Now, my
Yeah.
final question,
Sure.
kind of,
Okay.
you thought you gave me an idea is, what was the experience like being inducted into the Pace Hall of Fame?
Oh, forget it. My mother, I had a whole table. It was huge. It was huge for me. I just, as transparent as I can be. And I kind of told you that sad story for me and my stuff, but as basketball was my world growing up. I grew up in New York City. So I really didn't want to be running streets and doing things I maybe shouldn't have been doing. I spent my time shooting baskets. I mean, my parents had to come get me off of the court to come home and eat. And it could be rain, winter, summer, spring. I was out there shooting baskets. So that's, that's where it is for me. Being in the Hall of Fame, I was definitely bigger than 5'2" on that day. And it's great. And I thank the university for that.
That's awesome. All right, cool. Well, that's kind of all I have, Liz. Thank you very much for
Well,
joining us. And,
nice meeting you.
yeah, let's do this again sometime.
Yeah, I want to go see you guys and keep up the good work for thinking outside the box and doing these things. And have a great weekend. Thanks a lot. Take care.